There were so many qualities that Marisa had that are worthy of mention. I'm going to focus on a couple that really stood out most to me. And the first, as we heard, was her compassion, really her thorough, and I would describe it as thorough and comprehensive sense of compassion. She always looked for opportunities to help others in the skills that she was blessed at in tennis and the arts. It was part of her nature. She didn't feel as though she had to fulfill some duty or requirement. She did so because it was just very much part of who she was. And using her tennis skills, she coached tennis to children with disabilities from early in high school until she graduated from college. And she planned sports and exercise events for inner city Hispanic youth at the Latin American Youth Center in Washington. And her fluency in Spanish she used to assist in Panama restoring child care facilities and in many other ways. And her incredible academic abilities as well. She did a host of tutoring and mentoring services for students from underprivileged backgrounds. But I also think that Marisa's compassion was displayed in more general ways than these particular skills. We saw it on a day-to-day basis in her interaction with friends, family, and her community. Marisa was always available to lend a helping hand to anyone, and people often came to her because you knew that when you were speaking to Marisa, you would be getting her best effort and undivided attention. I certainly consulted Marisa for a variety of reasons, and I remember on one occasion she was telling me about a friend of hers who had been going through some difficult times and who she was helping. And as she was telling the story, you could see the look of pain on her face as though she were experiencing her friend's difficulties herself. And that's really the hallmark of a compassionate person. Another quality that Marisa had, and that I think really complemented her compassion very well, was her diligence. And by that I mean her tendency or her knack to really dig beneath the surface and figure out how things worked and why they worked. She had a very analytical mind. And that explains so much of the success that she had in tennis, art, academics, and language. But as with her compassion, her diligence was really displayed on a more day-to-day level. She had an incredible sense of humor, as we heard from Paul, really just a sophisticated wit that I think was really based on a keen observation of the world around her. And when friends came to her for advice, I say that her compassion sort of melded or went very well with her diligence, because you knew you would be getting not just her best effort, but you'd be getting logical outcomes that were really based upon her sharp mind. Just to give a couple of examples of personal anecdotes, I went to her once and was talking about where I thought I might want to work or what one should look for in a job. And we had been going back and forth for a while and discussing the various factors. And at the end of the discussion, she said, "I want to see you do something that puts a spring in your step." And I think that really captured exactly what I was trying to say and what I was looking for. And I think that just goes to show that she had a way of really putting things, your preferences, better than you were able to. Another anecdote, I was talking to her once about a paper that I was writing for one of my classes on strategies to promote the employment of people with disabilities. And it wasn't a subject that she had particular experience with. But as we were discussing it, it was clear that she was grappling with the issue, and she was asking me the sort of questions that you would expect to hear from someone who had studied the material for a long period of time, and certainly helped shape my own understanding of the subject. And that's really another point about Marisa. She wasn't someone who would be easily captured or captivated by catchy slogans or compassionate sounding ideas. She wanted to know if they would work and how they would work. And that's why I think the fund is such an appropriate way to honor Marisa's legacy, because not only are all of these ideas that we heard about today compassionate ones, but if you dig beneath the surface, you see that they actually work. We know that engaging children in activities that they enjoy and combining that with their education boosts educational outcomes and a host of other outcomes, whether it's in tennis or the arts. And we know that early access to mental health intervention is critical for long-term success. And in fact, especially in impoverished communities, much of poverty can be explained by inadequate access to health care in general and mental health care in particular. And that's why the ARC and what the grantees are intending to do with the ARC is such an important idea. For those of you who don't know, by the way, the ARC stands for the Town Hall Education, Arts, Recreation Center. It's this organization that houses nearly a dozen organizations, ranging from the Washington Ballet, the Children's Hospital, the Corcoran Gallery of Art, Levine School of Music, a satellite college campus, and much more. And despite these wonderful programs, there still is a tremendous need for mental health services on site. So the Risa Fund has partnered with the ARC and Children's Hospital to create the Risa Fund Mental Health Initiative to train all staff to identify individuals who might need mental health service and work towards hiring a full-time psychologist to be located on site at the ARC. I can't think of a more worthwhile endeavor. And I don't know if there's any project that can fully do justice to Marissa's memory, but I do think that this is the best we can do. And I'm confident that all of these ideas are ones that Marissa would fully support, and I'm also confident that they're going to generate real results for years to come. And that is something that should put a spring in all of our steps.